Good evening. How's everybody? Good to see you all. What time is it? It's 7 o'clock. It's time to start. Look at me on time for once. Good evening. This is DEOL 738. This is your methodology block for the DEOL program. Although it's just a 6-hour block, it does encompass both quantitative and qualitative, and we'll get into program evaluation out of that. And so I'll go ahead and share my screen, and we'll be brief tonight, which is kind of against my normal pattern. We'll do that. Let's see. So this is your 738 shell. I am your instructor. The syllabus is here. My plan this semester was to meet this coming Saturday in Charlotte, and then go online only after that on every other Saturday. So I guess that's where we need to start tonight. I've got the groups for the case studies. We have 4 case studies. I've got the 3 groups for those. We'll look at the weekly schedule, but let's talk about Saturday. Let me stop my share. Now, we were in that building in Charlotte. Have y'all met in the Charlotte building? So we were in that building last Saturday, and it was nuclear hot. The air conditioning is not very good when you're in a room with several people. And we had fans on to try to help. It was 76 when we got there at 8:30, and it got hotter after that. I'll bring some water, and I'll have food and water and drinks and those things. I'll do that. But my point is, it was really difficult to wear a mask in that heat. Just to be completely honest with you, it's difficult to wear a mask in that heat. I mean, it's tough. It's not so bad if you're just sitting there listening, but if you're talking and up and doing and doing those things, it's kind of difficult to do that. So thoughts about Saturday class? Is anybody vehemently opposed? Anybody vehemently want to be there? What are your thoughts?
I prefer to be comfortable in my learning environment.
Did we lose you?
I will defer to the will of the group, but I have my preference rather being at home.
Okay, and we've got one that'd rather be at home. Now, I left Mecklenburg County yesterday morning. I stay in my condo here near campus. I live at Lake Norman in Mecklenburg County. The signs are back on again, stay home. And if you do congregate, you are required to wear a mask inside. So I will add that to the conversation. The signs were back yesterday. Stay home. They're asking for people not to be out unless you absolutely have to in Mecklenburg County. We met in convocation at Gardner Webb today in Cleveland County. They have no mask mandates. They have nothing, and they have raging COVID as well. We did one of our doctoral cohorts had 4. We have folks in quarantine from meeting this past Saturday on campus. The orientation for the new students in the School of Ed, the juniors, when they come in, they did that orientation. 8 of them are now in quarantine. We had 4 doctorals, 3 have it, and 1 was in quarantine from one group. I think they were to meet in Charlotte. They didn't get to meet this past weekend. The numbers go up each day. I'm only one vote, but my vote would be is we do it virtually on Saturday, and we can move our face-to-face time if things get better. Any of the Saturdays that we have set aside, we can do that. We can meet face-to-face, and I'd love to see you all face-to-face. I'd just rather not die, or get, and it's kind of like when I was a school principal. I would tell teachers, I don't care. I don't care what your status for sick days or vacation days. That thing they come on the TV and say it's this day or that day, or school's out for kids, teachers report. I told mine, if kids aren't coming, you don't come. I'm not going to be responsible for an accident or any of those kinds of things. And so I really want to meet. I've already bought the stuff. And so, but my brother-in-law is 65, fully vaccinated, very healthy, 65, retired PE teacher and still very active. And he unfortunately has contracted the Delta variant, and it's just about ended him. And so, I worry that, we're not kids that can kind of shake it off and go on anymore. I mean, I'm a senior citizen, and I'd rather not get it. And so, that's what I'm talking about. I stay quarantined. I don't even go home during the week if I'm in the building at Gardner Webb. I stay here and scrub down and bring clothes from the cleaner in bags and scrub myself and my place down before I even go home, or where I'm taking it home to my wife. And so I'm willing to take some risk, but not over risk. So I think we'll just do Saturday online, and we'll see. And again, if things get better at the numbers, if they take down the stay home signs in Mecklenburg County, that would be the first notion. But they were back up yesterday, which is not a good sign. So we'll do it that way. So let's look. Let me share my screen. Let's look at our shell, and I'll try not to keep you all night. All right. So as we go through your syllabus, here are your case study groups. You will Zoom with one another to present your case studies. So let's look at our weekly schedule. As I said, we will be online this Saturday. We'll be on from 9. I get tired of talking. Maybe y'all get tired of listening to me, one or the other. All right, so cover these are all under the weekly tabs on the side. The terms that we have to use in research and the conceptual frameworks that will guide your consultancy project and your final presentation. We'll talk about consultancy projects in the consultancy shell. Then we'll talk about the qualitative and quantitative analysis projects that you will do, one of each. We do mixed methodology. You'll either do explanatory or you'll do convergent with mixed methodology, and we'll talk about that and what your project will look like. Basically, at the end of 738, you do a proposal defense. I propose to go out with this partnering organization, collect this data, and give them this action plan. Now, I want to be clear. We do not expect you to actually implement the action plan. Your job is to get through and get this degree. What you will do is you will collect data, analyze it, make some recommendations, give them an action plan, put it in their hand, and run into the bank and see, and cash the check before it bounces, like all consultants do. Implementation is another story entirely. If you partner with these people and you want to do that, that's fine. But I'm just telling you right now, the best thing to do, partner quickly in your 4th semester, 5th semester with me. We put some methodology, some method to the madness, collect your data next semester. I'll help you with Qualtrics. We'll collect your data next semester, and you're done with them. The longer you're with them, the more time that this thing can go bad and fall through. And remember, consultancy is not internship. You're not there to learn from them. You're there to take expertise to them. And so it's a completely different relationship. And so we're going to get in, we're going to get our data next semester, we're going to get out, we're going to write it up, hand the action plan to them, the deliverables, and then we move on to getting our final presentation together. So that's the notion here. I'll go over Qualtrics with you on Saturday, and we'll end up with IRB, making sure that you have done your CITI IRB. Now, it's 17 modules. It takes about 6 hours, but if you pass it and get your certificate, you don't have to go through the university's IRB process that can take up to a year to get your project approved. Let me say that again. You will not have to go through the standard process that you do with a dissertation if you take this and pass it. It's free. Now, it is 17 modules. It takes between 4 and 6 hours to get through all 17 of those modules. But once you get that certificate, you're golden. If you've already done this, the basic course for researchers, you just got to upload your certificates. All you got to do, and you won't even have to do that. And then September 11th, 2 weeks, we'll Zoom. I'll do Salkine, the introductory chapter, test review. You'll take it online. We'll do case study 16. That's when your groups will present your case studies. The first one is about the CAN, an organization in Texas, and what you're supposed to learn from that one very simply is different stakeholders have different metrics. Some look for, from nonprofits, some look for quantity, how many people you serve. That's a quantitative issue. Some look for qualitative, how well you served them, not how many, but how well. And so that will help us define quantitative and qualitative, and we'll talk about that. I've got an extra week in between classes there, and you can schedule a session with me individually on either of those Saturdays, and we'll do Qualtrics. We'll see if you're ready to collect some data and you're thinking about what you want to do. I'll go over Qualtrics with you. Now, some of you may know more about Qualtrics than me, but I can help you. I can teach you to design your survey, or you can send it to me in Word format, and I'll do it quickly. And copy and send it to you where you can publish it and you can distribute your survey where the responses come back to you. We can do the analytics, but if you want to learn Qualtrics, I will spend a session with you either of those Saturdays on Qualtrics. Then we're back on again, and I'll do Salkine, which is obviously quantitative, and then we'll do another case study, and then we'll move on through that. That's kind of the way we go. The case studies break it up, and then by October 16th, we'll move to qualitative, which is Merriam. And then Royce is the final of the textbooks, which is program evaluation, which puts them both together, which is what you folks are doing. And then you'll do your project presentations on the last Saturday. Well, you'll get up, and so those are that. Now, the things to do over here, you'll have discussion boards. You've got, you start reading Ayers and Davenport the first week. The questions on them and discussion board are at the end, but you need to go ahead and start. Those are your two outside reading. Ayers is a seminal work in data analytics, came out in 2007, but it was the first time that people had heard that term. It's a very, very easy book to read. Listen to it on tape. It's hilarious. It's actually good stuff. Now, I know I'm a little geeky. I get it, but you'll like this one. Davenport is a little more geeky in quantity, but it's good as well. But it's the practical application of what you should be learning. We're not going to sit and do calculus all the time. This is the practical application of how you learn to be. I'm not going to train you to be a quant. I'm going to train you to hire and supervise quants and know when they're trying to, pull the wool over your eyes or run your pants up the flagpole. That's the whole notion here. And so you've got your intro test, which is required, your reflection and your PowerPoint. You do a quick reflection of your case studies, and you got the Excel test. Now, after that, you can dig as deep on the quantitative side as you want to. You see this, what color is that? I don't know, teal color. That means these tests are optional on the quant after that. Now, if you want to dig into those, that is just fine with me. If you want to dig into that, let me turn this phone off. Somebody's trying to call me. And so you can get as deep as you want to get. I mean, that's up to you. You can get as deep as you want to get. But so everything else is required over here in the assignments column, except for the things that are in teal. And that's when you get real deep into Salkine, into quantitative. Now, I get questions every year. Are these other, is anything else? No, if it's not in teal, it's required. Only the things in teal. So yes, you have to do the Royce test. Yes, you have to do the discussion boards. The only thing that's optional is those tests, those heavy duty tests in statistics. Those are the only ones that are optional. If it's not in teal, you must do it. So that kind of answers that question. Let me close. All right, so looking at discussion board, you say, well, Dale, but we got to do those tests, but then you've got questions. These are the big ticket items from each of the chapters. You know, I've got, did you get the essence of each of the chapters? So again, you don't have to do the statistics test, but I want you to make sure that you got the big idea from each of the chapters. So I do have, these are not optional. Again, only the things in teal are optional. You must answer these questions so that I know that you kind of got the gist of each of these chapters. And then Miriam, here's from the qualitative, here are those questions from the qualitative work from Miriam. And then you've got a couple from, 3 questions from Ayers and 2 from and then you've got a couple from Davenport on the quants book. And that's pretty much it in terms of the assignments. The case study materials are here. And so I'll have to edit that one right quick. The groups are on page 1. And I'll just go ahead and do that right now. Take that out. And so course overview, here are your groups. Right here on the front, you know what group you're in. There's 4 in the first one, then 3 and 3. So we'll have 3 presentations, and we do the same case studies every time. And we kind of look and see the difference in different people, have different takes on the case studies. And here's the Dropbox to put them in. You do a small reflection after the case study is over. So under case study materials, there's actually the case studies. And then there's a case study reflection rubric of what we expect to see in the reflection. Half page or less is fine. It's not, what'd you learn from this? And it has the case studies. Now, remember on the 3rd case studies, there's a choice of one of these 3. So overall, there is no case study here. You choose one of these 3 for your 3rd one. So we get a little differentiation on that one. Then everybody, we're back to the normal on this one. And so case studies, instruction, we've got tests, we've got a Royce, we've got a test for Royce from program evaluation. It's a lot. It is a lot. But we'll have fun. We'll tell it. One of the things that I do is you might want to look at some of the previous Zoom links that I've got here from case studies, especially give you some ideas about what yours should look like or think about, or you can just do them. You can do them blind if you want to and not look at that. Just say, I just want to. I don't want somebody else to influence me. But I've got some different case studies in here from previous sessions that you might want to watch, and if you don't, that's fine as well. But I'm not going to beat you up with calculus. I've got some things in here under course overview. But looking at week 1, again, this will be a virtual session. And so terms with theoretical frameworks, definitions, my top 10 things to remember about qualitative and quantitative data and research, my top 10 ways to cheat using data. I teach you to cheat so you won't, so you'll know when somebody else is cheating you. I have the outline of what you do for your final presentation. We'll cover all this on the first Saturday, but it's laid out pretty well. When you leave this course, the notion here is when you leave this course, you will present you will defend your proposal that this is what I propose to do at this place. Here's my methodology. It's going to be mixed. It's going to be, quantitative. It's going to be, I'm going to look at data. I'm going to do survey. Qualitative, I'm going to do interviews or open-ended. We can do open-ended surveys at Walters if you can't, interview people or do focus groups. But we're going to do, mostly we do convergent design where we collect quantitative and qualitative. We compare the two, make sure they tell the same story. But sometimes we do explanatory. Sometimes we do the quantitative, and then we pick the ones that really catch our eye, the items, and we go ask questions about those things. That's a different, but it's still mixed methodology. It's pretty easy. This is not hard stuff. I'm not going to stand at the board and do calculus all day. I'm not expecting you to do that either. This is the practical application. This is methodology, practical application of methodology. And if once you understand the terms and we get a few basic things under our belts, it goes pretty good. It's interesting, and you will find yourself warming up to the material, hopefully, and it's a lot of fun. Now, I will say this: this is not the kind of thing that you can do once a month or once every other month. The reason why we've gone to every other Saturday is the student feedback's been very consistent. You got to stay engaged in this stuff. There's some of the concepts a little more difficult, but if you know every other Saturday, you don't get behind and you stay up and you don't forget what you learned last time, it goes pretty well. But our goal is to come out of this with a proposal on how we're going to collect data from our partnering organization and what we're going to write up and give them, because the notion here is you got in this program to get out, and we're going to make that our top priority. And so if you're already planning for the implementation of your action plan, that's wonderful. I appreciate that, but it's not required. And that's usually where we get bogged down in these. We want you to finish on time. That's the notion here. So we're going to get our methodology squared away in our proposal this semester. We're going to collect data next. We're going to write it up to next. So that's 5, 6, 7. In 8, you put all your executive summary and your final presentation together. Then you defend in 9. It's pretty simple. And so this is the heart. We're on the second half now. We're on that downhill slide to that final defense in 4 semesters. Everything we do now is the first 4 semesters you're supposed to learn something. That's the whole notion is content the first 4 semesters. Now, when we get to 5, we put some methodology to it, and now we work on the final presentation to get out. That's what we're going to work on now. Questions you have for me?
Dr. Lamb, I do. Good afternoon, everybody. Cohort. Glad to be here. My implementation on my project is actually a deliverable.
Mm-hmm.
And so at the end of my project, I would actually hand them a physical zoning ordinance.
Right. Yeah. Dr. Hamilton talked to me about that, but you're charged with doing that, and that's great. Yeah. And so you're actually, in practical, you're doing it. I get it. That's great.
Yes, sir. But I'm the thing that I did with it, because I've been in the business a long time, I did not set it where we had to get it adopted by the county commissioners. That's what you're talking about. That's up to staff. Yeah, I'll let them handle that part.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And my question is on those case studies. Do you have is there a model that we follow from your class, or do we the way we've been taught?
Watch the video. Watch the video. And so let me go back to that. That will help you more than anything else. Let me share my screen. So when you go to your case studies, case study materials, and you click on, here are the case study directions. So let's see what the case study directions say right here. And they last approximately 30 minutes. It tells you what exactly you're to do. 2-page maximum. I prefer a half a page on your reflection But right here, it tells you exactly what you're to do for each of the case studies. And then, and I've actually got a rubric for you here for the reflection in terms of how I'm going to look at it. You know, here again, the rubric's a whole lot longer than the actual reflection. But I tell you what I'm looking for in the rubric. And then on the case study itself, you click on the first case study right here, and I've got a little one on how to analyze a case study. That should help you. A presentation rubric for all presentations in DEOL. And then you click on your first case. And here it is. And so here's the case, and then at the end, it has your questions that you present in your final presentation. Here are the questions that you would answer. It's just, I mean, it's just as simple as it can be. There's nothing, you know, there's nothing earth-shattering about this. And again, if you want to see, you know, under previous Zoom links, you can watch a case study 16 session. Those are some of the older ones, and here are some of the newer ones. Case study 16 from this past spring. You can watch these videos. They're on YouTube. Took an hour and 40 minutes for that. You know, again, 30 minutes a pop. And so let's see. And I went over the directions with them again, and then we went through that, and then they started their presentation. That's Monica. She's doing her presentation. You can watch these. You can watch what we're doing here. So again, move that out of the way. All the things that you need here are under case study materials. The case study themselves, what we're looking for, how to analyze one, the directions, the presentation rubric, the reflection rubric, the cases themselves that have the questions embedded in them, and previous videos to show you what other folks did. There should be no guesswork. That's a great question. It's pretty easy. You know, the main thing is put your information in so that you can get your group together. Again, the group's right there under the course overview has your groups. You get in touch with your group, and you can do a collaborative document. I mean, most people just do a PowerPoint and they just collaborate. Some of them do Google Docs. You know, the notion here is, part of the notion here is to teach you, and I'm sure that you're professionals and you already know this, how to use Zoom for more than just to communicate. You know, the next level of virtual is, can you collaborate virtually to produce a product? That's a whole nother level of skill than just getting on and talking to one another like we're doing tonight. Can we figure out how we can virtually collaborate to produce a tangible product? And that's why we do these. I mean, I started doing case studies virtually even when we were meeting face-to-face classes for that, because there is a skill in that, as people found out during the pandemic, that all they could do is just talk to one another. But you can develop skills if you practice. And so the president today at the convocation was talking about 4 years ago in 2017, nobody knew what Zoom was. I started using Zoom in 2015 and went full-time to Zoom in 2016. Now, undergraduates didn't know, but he forgot the graduate faculty was sitting in the room as well. We've been doing this for 6 years now. And it has value in terms of collaborating virtually. You know, it's easy to get in a room and do these as a group, but what if you can't get in a room? People always said, well, why wouldn't we be able to get in a room? Well, duh. We've kind of figured that out during the pandemic, that you can't get in the room now. And I'm afraid we're going to kind of go back to that as well, where we're not going to be able to do that again. I know that we're determined we're going to push through now, but I'm not so sure. And so it's a very valuable skill to have, and I'm sure you all have it. If you don't, you'll develop it as we go. But again, if you have a specific biscuit order, when we get together, of course, we won't be together, but we'll hopefully before the semester is over, we will get to we'll get to that. At some point this semester, I would like to meet face to face, but for right now, we'll cap that for a minute. Okay. All right. Other questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
Forgive me if I overlooked it, but for the discussion boards, what is the procedure? Like, do we write? I know we respond to the question, and then are we supposed to respond to classmates or just the question?
No, you just write, tell me what you've learned.
Okay.
There's no forced response, none of that. That's the reason you don't see anything addressing that. I only care what you want. I want to know what you know. That somebody agrees or disagrees with you is an immaterial. And so, no, the discussion boards, shouldn't take you forever. Don't write War and Peace. No forced responses. If you want to read somebody else's, that's fine with me. But always remember, the opinion of a thousand idiots is still the opinion of an idiot. So just because everybody read it and agreed with it doesn't make any difference to me at all. I want to know what you know. That's my job is to educate you, or try to help you educate yourself. Remember, the DEOL program is all about you. It's all about the project in DEOL is you and developing your skill set. I'm not interested in groupthink. I'm interested in your development as an individual. David seems like a pretty nice guy, but they probably won't let you bring him to work with you to help you every day. They expect if they're paying you for you to be able to do it. So that's a great question, though, Tim. I like that. No, I do not do forced responses. If you want to read other people's posts, that's great. If you don't, that's fine as well. I want to assess what you're getting or not getting. Assessment drives instruction.
And you said the discussions are due at the end. Did you say that earlier? Discussion board questions are due at the end?
No. You start reading the 2 outside reading books in the first week, but the questions and discussion board, that you won't get those questions until the end. You can read those books, but what I get is people get so involved in the course and they come to the last week and they haven't read the 2 outside reading. So I just put that on the first week to remind you. Start your outside reading. It's required reading along with your text reading. Too many people think outside means optional. It does not mean optional. Only things in teal are optional. And so you will do your discussion boards as you come to them as we cover that material. We'll have them in that. The discussion boards are in the same sequence as the instruction. And so you will do that every week. You will do your discussion boards. But as a reminder, outside reading does not mean optional reading. So I'd remind you from the very first week, start your outside reading, because at the end of the course, you're going to have questions on your outside reading in discussion board, just like on the textbook reading. I don't want anybody to misunderstand or for me to any way imply that outside reading is optional reading. It is required. You have 5 books. There's a lot of content in this course. A lot of content. Most places teach this in a 12-hour block. Garden Web teaches it in 6. But that doesn't reduce the rigor. We still have to get after it. Questions, comments. Somebody tell a joke. Make me laugh.
I have one quick question. I can't think of a joke right now. I wish I could, but I can't. But maybe it'll come in a minute. If you've already, in terms of, you mentioned open-ended surveys and earlier, and if I've already done the surveys open-ended, and I've had responses to it, will we be able to analyze that and put it in, we'll be able to use it and put it in quantitative analysis for my,
No, that's qualitative.
Excuse
Open-ended
me.
is qualitative.
excuse me, qualitative analysis.
Will, I like that for George. We. So your question is, will you be able to do this? Uh,
Yeah,
well,
well,
I'm gonna tell you what I tell folks all the time. I can, because I know how smart I am, but I'm not the one in question. It's according to how smart you are. Yes, I will teach you in Qualtrics how we'll set up the surveys in Qualtrics, and you can put your open-ended responses, simply copy and paste them into that, and it'll do your analytics for you. Yes, we can do that.
okay, thank you.
Yes, we can do that. But yes, that's one of the beauties of Qualtrics is we'd set it up just like a survey, and you would take it just like the person who took the open-ended if you've already got it. Of course, that's kind of the cart before the horse, but that's no problem. We can do that. Have you passed your CITI?
Yes, sir.
Pass? Oh, that's great. Then
Done that.
sometimes folks get a little bit hung up on that, collecting data without having passed that CITI. But if you've done that, we're good. Yeah, we'll put it in Qualtrics and we'll have to copy and paste it.
I do have a control. I won't say control group, but I do have respondents, and I got a number of that was available for the survey,
Mhm.
but I only had like a 30-40% response rate.
That's all you
on the
need is 30.
Okay,
Don't need but 30. You can achieve significance with 30 to between 30 and 35. You'll be fine. We don't get near the response on open-ended that you get on quantitative anyway. So that's not a big deal. So, but yeah, we can go into Qualtrics and create a survey, an open-ended survey, and you just simply click on the items, copy and paste the answers in, and it look like they filled them out. Doesn't take that long. How many open-ended surveys you got?
I had 124 surveys.
Open-ended, the
No, I'm sorry.
qualitative.
I had 124. The group, the participants that was available to do the survey was 124, but I only had 40 to complete the survey and return it.
And it's now, was it multiple choice but it was all fill in the blank, open-ended, where
Yes,
they
sir.
wrote their own response?
Yes, sir.
Got 40 of those. Oh yeah, take a little while, but did they type in their response or handwrite in their response?
Handwritten, because the organization I'm working with had ransomware attack, so we couldn't do Survey Monkey, and so that wasn't available to the organization. So
Yeah. Well,
And
using Survey Monkey is just like shouting out the window anyway. It's got zero
that's right. Yeah.
zero security. Yeah. So what we'll have to do is you'll have to type those responses out, and then copy and paste them into Qualtrics. I've tried that voice recognition software where you can read them in there. Not very good. So you'll take your 40 surveys, the answers that they've got, you'll just type them out. You'll enter them in, and it'll work. I mean, that's the best you can do. I mean, it's once you get them typed out, it's just a copy and paste. It's easy, and it'll do you're looking for themes. It'll do the word searches and it'll give you your themes that they have. That's what you're looking for in qualitative work, is themes. Quantitative work, there is a right answer. Even though, if you're doing most quantitative work, how old are you? There's a right answer to that question. Now, we also do quantitative work where we do opinion surveys, but now we can't do analysis of variance or linear regression. We just do chi-square with them, which is pretty simple stuff. Because there's not a right answer. It's somebody's opinion. But if we get enough responses in the same vein, we, you know, on our frequency distribution, we have a pretty good notion that that's probably the right answer. But, you know, so those are easy to do diagnostics on. Do your analytics on the quantitative. The qualitative, all we're really looking for in qualitative is themes. You know, what are the themes? What are the response themes? I'll give you an example. I'll show you. I'm in a fifth year of a major case study, and I've got about 2,000 respondents. So let me share my screen right quick. And so, let me see. I don't have to do this. And, what's today's date? 8-24-21. Okay, I can do that now. All right, so okay, so I'll open this. Have mine do it in Word and type in where it'd be easy for me or for the graduate student that gets assigned to do this. It'll be easy for them to put it in Qualtrics. Close this. Let's keep popping up. So what I'm looking for, I'm looking for themes. You know, that they got a promotion or they got a position or they're more confident or they have improved their self-esteem or self-efficacy. I'm looking, so I ask feel questions. I mean, there's no right answers to these. And so I'm looking for the commonality of their responses. I feel more equipped in the knowledge to hold a leadership position, hands-on training, help me grow professionally, but personally. See, that's a theme. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for those themes. Is what I'm looking for in qualitative work. And so the analytics, the notion here is we're going to copy and paste these. Qualtrics will find our themes for us. There might be 2, there might be 10, but we're looking for common themes. And those themes are, you know, little t truth. That's what we're looking for. In quantitative, we look for big T truth. This is true. This is false. You know, this is black. This is white. It's, you know, integral, ordinal, ratio, whatever level of measurement. You know, that's what we're interested in quantitative. Qualitative, we're looking for little t truth. If enough people tell us the same thing, then, you know, it's a little t truth. That's a frequency distribution. And so that's what we're looking for here in qualitative work is little t truth. But we're looking for themes. You know, all 10 of you watch a video and I ask you a series of questions. Do you all kind of get the same thing from it? Or you experience, you know, the same program? Did you get the same thing? What did you get? Did you get what we intended for you to get from this program? That's what that survey was just about, is program coordinator. Did you get what we told you that you should get from this? Did you get your money's worth? And then, you know, now the second phase of data collection is those people, some of them have been in jobs for up to 4 years, but the ones that actually got jobs in school administration, survey them again. Did you get what you think you did? You know, at the time you said, that you thought you got what you needed and that you were more confident. Once in the job, did this training actually prepare you? You thought you were prepared at the end of the program before you went in the job, but are you actually prepared? What could we do or should we do to better prepare you in the real world of work? And so that's what I'm doing with that. It's going to take about 7 years from start to finish. As I said, I'm 5 years in. I've got about 2 more years, I figure, and of course I'll be done by then anyway. That's the notion here, is that's what we do open-ended. We don't do open-ended for things that are easy answers or binary, yes, no, true, false. We do them on how do you feel, the things that we can't really put a measure on. That's what qualitative is about. And so we just look for themes. We don't look for specific answers. We look for themes in our qualitative work. So when we do quantitative, we can, so I'll use a school example for you. So I had a dissertation student at 71st High School in Fayetteville, and they implemented a PBIS program to reduce suspensions. And so we counted suspensions. Did they go down? Yeah, they went down. So we went and asked the teachers, was it the PBIS program that made the suspensions go down? That's convergent design. We collect them independently and compare. Do they tell the same story? That's what convergent design mixed methodology is. And when we went to the teachers, they said, what PBIS program? We didn't know we had one. Well, what do you mean? Well, the suspensions went down. Well, that's just because they quit suspending them. It had nothing to do with, discipline getting better. It's actually worse now because they quit suspending kids. They just manipulated the numbers. They said, we're going to implement PBIS. It was just a cover to stop suspending kids, and the school got worse. That's what convergent design will tell you. Does your quantitative and qualitative match? That's 90% of the designs that we do in DEOL because it's practical. This is not theory. This is out in real organizations. This is practical stuff. The other design that you can do is an explanatory design where you go out and collect quantitative first. And from that, the low items, you go out and ask people why. Why was it low and what can we do to fix it? Pretty simple. I was doing item analysis. We did venison, and a faith-based organization in church picked the lowest 4, in terms of the mean average on the 4 lowest. Said, what recommendations should we have or what questions should we go ask people about these? Why are these things low? Any of you work in North Carolina's public school system? Nope. Good. One, Blair does. Teacher working condition survey. You look at, that's quantitative. You look at the score in each of those 12 areas. And then if you're smart, you go out and ask your teachers, why is it low? What can we do to fix it? That would be the qualitative. That would be an explanatory design mixed methodology. You go out and ask teachers, is it really this low, or you just mad at the principal that day when you filled it out? That's the first question you ask. Yeah, it's really that low. This area, like facilities, are the bathrooms cleaned? Is there copy paper? All those kinds of things. And you ask teachers, and you pick the lowest ones, and you go out and you ask, is it really this low? Well, yeah, it is. What do you think we could do to fix it? And that's where you come to your recommendations, and out of that, you write your action plan. It's the same thing, what we do. So you're going to do mixed methodology. It's going to be one of two designs. Either either a convergent design where you compare the two, or explanatory where you do quantitative, find the low items, then go ask people, how do we fix this? And then you write your action plan out of that. It's not rocket science, folks, obviously, since I do it. Can't be that hard. So, the first thing you've got to conquer in this course is your fear of statistics. Too many people, I was told there'd be no math. Well, there'll be a little bit, but it won't be too much. You've got to conquer the fear of statistics. This is not a pure, statistics class. We're not doing parametric statistics. So we're not doing that. This is not, this isn't stat 1 at Chapel Hill. That's not the purpose of this. And it's certainly not stat 2. So That's just part of what we do. The bigger picture is why do we do this, and how can this help us as leaders in organizations? We always want to take it back to we're training leaders, not statisticians. How can you use this stuff? How can you keep from somebody pulling the wool over your eyes and you know, being misled or or intentionally deceived or whatever? That's the notion here. Other questions? Again, I hate we can't get together Saturday. You can tell them, look at me, I love to eat. We could got out, had some biscuits, and we'd have had a few laughs and a good time. But I want you all to be safe. I don't want anybody to die. Nobody has to die over this.
Dr. Lamb, can I ask a quick question
Yes.
just about due dates? Just for example, on session 2, Saturday, September 11th, when you look at the assignments like the 25 question test, the case study, and the Excel test, are those due on September 11th or sometime that week, or?
Everything is due. Like, so we meet on Saturday and hear all the things that are due. These are due by the following Sunday night. Everything is due by the following Sunday night after we meet.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep, the following Sunday night. We work on a Sunday to Sunday deal, or Saturday to Sunday deal. So so we have class on Saturday. That kind of starts the week. So the next week by Sunday, have it in there. It gives you an extra day or two. It's just a pacing. Now, I'm not going to run behind you. And if you missed it and it came in on Tuesday, it's okay. Now, I grade every day. I'll tell you that right now. I'm old, don't have anything else to do, and I grade every day. I grade every morning. I grade every night. If you hadn't heard from me, that day something's wrong. I grade every day. So it's not like I set aside this one day, and if you don't have your work in there, it messes up my week. Doesn't matter. If it's not in there Sunday night, when I get up Monday morning before I go to work, I'll grade it then. And if it's in there Tuesday morning, that's fine. The whole notion is if you get behind, it's hard to catch up in this stuff. I'll just tell you. You got to kind of keep up. The pace moves pretty quickly, and so that's just for that. So there's no late. I don't hide anything or take off points if it's late or whatever. I don't care about that kind of thing. I care about what you learn. I care that when you're out in the field, you can actually perform. That you have a notion of what you're doing. That's what this is about you. And again, the whole purpose of the DOL program is to work on you. But I find if you get too far behind, folks, it doesn't go well for you. That's why we meet every other week. If you can stay present with it, we can get through it. And we can have a laugh or two, and we can have fun along the way. And hopefully you will see how this can be useful in your everyday life. One of the more enjoyable things is to listen to the Ayers book, Super Crunchers. You will really like it. It's a lot of fun. It's humorous. His claim to fame is that he is actually an attorney and is a law professor at Yale. And when the Tiger Mom goes out and does her tour, he substitutes for her. She's one of his colleagues at Yale, but he was a statistician by trade. He went to MIT. And so he was the first person to really put this in some notion of how you go about in a systematic way to do this. He'll tell you the largest, the largest linear regression in the world is, Match.com or eHarmony.com. That's just a linear regression is all it is, where you fill out the data questionnaire of all the dependent variables and try to match the matches. It's just a linear regression is all it is. And he'll explain all that to you. Because, trials and large data sets and randomization, but yeah, it's interesting stuff. And if you're not too worried about the calculus, where you can, kind of relax and enjoy it, it's actually fairly enjoyable. Next question, let me check the chat right quick. Anybody got anything that I hadn't answered? All right. So let me see right quick. Share screen. Okay.
Dr. Lamb,
Yes.
while you're doing that, if we have an occasion to, and you may have mentioned this already, I can't remember, but if we have an occasion to have to miss a class or something,
Yes.
what's the protocol on that? Let you know, and if you can, because
Right here, you see right here at the screen, says makeup activities. Anytime that you can't come to a session, I have a makeup for that session right here.
Okay.
It's almost like I do this for a living, isn't it? And so right here are the things that you are to do in any week that, I don't take attendance. I'm not going to come to your house and knock on the door and want to know where you are. But any particular Saturday that you miss of the 7 Saturdays, here are the things that you have to do if you got to miss. And I know life gets in the way sometimes. And that's why I said, don't get too far behind, because you might miss, and then you got all this extra work to have to do for your makeup session. But right there it is. It's right here in the menu, down here at the bottom. And so let's see. And so what I will do is right here under this Saturday Zoom session link, under class materials for face-to-face, August 28th, right here under this, I will put the link to join me on Saturday. And I will send it out Saturday morning again, but I will put it right here. I set this up in order to be able to do that. Obviously, it doesn't want to work with Zoom. And I will do that, delete. And I'll go back in and, well, it's not gonna let me. I'll fix it in a few minutes. I will go ahead and do us a Zoom link. Then this will be a one-off link. All the rest of the links will be the same each week. After that, you come in and you have your link right here. And so you just click on this for the week to join me. Let's see what this one looks like. Edit 54. I should have set it up that way for the first one. Let's see if it's the right one. It should be 54. Nope, I knew it wasn't. That's no problem. And so I'll put us a link that works. No problem. But again, if you got to miss, the makeup activities are here. If you want to work further in Salkind, those other chapters to get to those tests, I've got data sets right here in Excel that you'll need for that. The final exam, I will ask you to take the final exam, and it's just 20 questions that I think you ought to know if you've been in this class. Again, you won't have to have a pencil or paper. I bet I can get them all right in under 4 minutes. That's my record. I think it's 3:58. So it shouldn't take you that long. If it takes me that, old as I am, you ought to be able to do it in 4 or 5 minutes. It's not hard questions. It's not calculus. It's big picture ideas, things you should know from this course. And I'll show you what they are. Okay. Begin. What kind of methodology emphasizes objective measures and the statistical, mathematical, and numerical analysis of data collected through test polls, questionnaires, and surveys? That would be quantitative. What methodology consists of participant observation, in-depth interviews, and focus groups or documents? That would be qualitative. Pretty easy. Statistical what means results from an experiment not likely randomly to occur by error. That would be statistical significance. That doesn't mean that it means anything. It just means you didn't have enough error. We'll talk about that. Be strong or weak in general. The larger the effect size you have, more likely the difference to be meaningful. The difference between significance and meaningful, we'll learn those things. Hypothesis is a educated guess, what we call a swag. That would be an hypothesis. You know what a swag is. Everybody knows what a swag is. Stupid, wild ass guess. That's what we call it in statistics. That's what a hypothesis is. That's a little geek humor there. Explore the question. How I know test scale I use works every time. That would be reliable. It works the same every time. Measures what it's supposed to do would be validity, which is not a measure of central tendency. Mean, median, mode, standard deviation, which of those is not a measure of central tendency? That'd be standard deviation. That's a measure of variance. Normal or Gaussian distribution, that'd be a bell-shaped curve. That's what that would be. Correlation is a measure of strength of relationship between two variables. The statistical term is defined between two makes them dependent. That would be correlation. Is a measure. The statistical term is found between two random variables. First, that'd be association. All right. When interested in examining how one variable changes in relationship to the other, which of the following scripts would you want to use? One variable changes in relationship to the other. That would be correlation. And we can be positive or negative. Some things are positive. The more of one thing, the more of the other thing. The more you smoke, the more likely you are to get cancer. Some things are negatively correlated. You do more of it, you get less of something else. You spend more money, you get less money. Which measure of variability is measured the average distance from the mean? That would be the standard deviation. What is the standard deviation squared? That'd be variance. I'll use this to remain associated with this variance. That'd be analysis of variance. You determine which linear relationship between dependent variables, that would be a linear regression. And then when tallying and representing how often scores occur, what type of data illustration, that'd be a frequency distribution. That's what we use. We report the frequency of an answer when we do a survey and ask somebody's opinion. That's not the right answer. We report the frequency of how many people answered A. If enough people answered A, that's probably the little t truth is it's probably A. That's a frequency distribution. And the study, a sample is drawn from a larger population. In a study, a sample is drawn from a larger population. At random is soon to be represented, probably referred to as a random sample. And we'll learn about all those different types of samples. What are the 4 levels of measurement? Interval, ordinal, nominal, and ratio. Which one? That would be it. And then what is the foundation of inferential statistics? And that would be probability. Save and submit. Okay. Click OK to review my results. See how I did. Move this out of the way.
Hey, Dr. Lamb.
Yes.
I have staff meeting at 8 for my team.
Yep, we're through.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So we'll see how that goes. But see, I took 4 minutes. There it is. Let's see how I did in 4 minutes. 20 out of 20. Look at that. It's that easy, folks, and you'll understand all those concepts as well. It'll come to you that quick, just like that. You'll know what all these things mean and how it all fits together. Trust me. It's not about math, folks. It's about bigger concepts than that, and how we can use those in the real world to our advantage as leaders. I will see you Saturday morning at 9. You'll have to get your own food, unfortunately, but I'll see you then. We'll have a good time Saturday. Trust me. It'll be a lot of fun.
Dr. Lamb, before we
Yes.
leave, I want to make a comment to the cohort before we leave. Hey, I want to thank everybody for the meal. I've had my surgery and everything is going well. Prognosis is real good. I mean, I'm gonna be okay and everything, but I want to say I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart what you all did. I mean, when you come out of surgery, you're trying to recover, and my wife's trying to do this and that, and it really took a little load off of her to help out with that. So I wasn't expecting that. You didn't have to do that, but I certainly appreciate it. It's certainly a blessing, and I don't take it lightly for what you all did. And it means a whole lot that we are family, not just a cohort, we're a family for thinking about me as I went through my situation. But I certainly will have a testimony later that maybe can help others out. But again, thank you. And Dr. Lamb, thank you for allowing me to do that. This is a good group. We call it the Talented 10.
The Talented 10.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, I'm going to hold y'all to that.
Put us out there, right? But thank you, everybody, for that. I really do appreciate it.
All right. Have a good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you Saturday.
Yes, sir.